What up, what up, what up? Yeah, eating shit face, bitches. Alright, listen, so this is the knife that I'm flipping today. If I drop it a bunch, there's a reason. It's because this does not flip like a normal valley at all. When I throw an aerial, a normal knife, and that opened up there will open up evenly, like an Alpha Beast or a Replicant or Benchmade 87. This does not always do that. This gets stuck sometimes, and it'll flip like this in the air. When it does that, I'm not grabbing it. So, anyway, today I thought, I had a buddy of mine that I've known for quite some time. He's like, man, you need to post up some more stories. So, this one might not have a whole lot of comedy to it, but it's why I left Florida. And why I will also never take a supervisory position. See how that didn't open up? Every now and again it fucking happens. So anyway. Actually, you know what? Let's start off with the drink. Put you on a Jack Daniels bottle. And today, we will be drinking Sobieski. From Russia. Okay. 80% vodka. 20% mix. But anyway, alright, so we'll start with my job. Actually, we'll start off, most of you who are from my last channel, you are aware of why it got shut down, mostly, probably. So anyway, essentially the police department started investigating my channel. They showed up at my house a series of 16 different times. And not all of it was for self-incrimination, but some of it was for the Scott Bailey incident. Some of it was for my brother. Some of it was things that I said that I did. Da 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 da. By the way, if they're investigating me again, they've already come out here and asked me to take down my material, and it's not going to happen. So anyway, in this story, you're going to hear a series of felonies that it's just... Though I'm going to leave certain things out so that I don't get in any fucking trouble. So it might interrupt the story a little bit and sound kind of weird, but okay, so here we go. I moved down where my parents lived and my grandparents lived to Central Florida. And essentially, god damn it, that fucking hurt. Essentially, I didn't want to be, half of the United States away from where my family was. So, hang on. I moved down there, and I meet this beautiful broad, right? Her name's Asia. I mean, I never, ever get pretty women. It does not happen, ever. And this chick was a 10 out of 10. Oop, it did it again. This chick was a 10 out of 10, man. Fucking gorgeous. So I was talking to her while I was going through welding school and shit. And I got this job at a company called Tampa Tank. So there's two stories to this that are going to kind of separate and intermingle for the explanation. So essentially, I get this job at Tampa Tank. They're working me to death. And my very first day there, my supervisor is a guy named Otis. Otis was a retired Marine Corps drill sergeant, right? And when this guy yelled at you, it wasn't like, hey, you're screwing up, this is how you fix it. It was, bam, smack your fucking helmet off your head and say, what are you, fucking stupid? You know, that's the type of environment that I was dealing with at the time. So anyway, what was I gonna say? Okay, so there's Otis in Bay 1. I was in Bay 1. There's Johnny in Bay 2. There's Ken in Bay 3. Bay 4 was Rodney. And I never met the Bay 5 supervisor, but I heard he was a real piece of shit. So at this job, you have options. They start you out as a grinder. If you don't have any experience, they start you out as a general labor. You wear a blue hard hat. Or no, a yellow hard hat. Sorry. No, yellow was QC. A green hard hat. Green hard hat is general labor. Red hard hats are welders. Black hard hats are tier 3 welders. White hard hats were supervisors, and blue hard hats were fitters. Those were the guys who tack welded, could weld if need be, and they were given a set of blueprints, and they mag drilled out all the holes to splice the bridges together, yada yada yada. They were fitters, fabricators. So anyway, tier 3 welders do both. So anyway, and they get their own welder's helper. I'm just gonna throw past about 10 years of shit. Actually, no, I'm gonna tell you how shitty it was. So at this place called Tampa Tank, as a tier 2 welder, I was a MIG welder. I was ultra core, hardwire, metal core, and flux core certified in 3G plate, except for metal core, because that couldn't be a 3G. That's not a 3G weld. So anyway, and I was taught how to use the submerged arc welding machines, which was also a wire feed. So anyway, they would put you in these boxes, right? And every single one of your welds was a fracture critical weld. Let me tip this up a bit so you can see my face. Every single weld that you did was a fracture critical weld, which means that you had to preheat where you were welding to 500 fucking degrees before you could weld anything. Oh my fucking God. For 12 to 16 hours a day, I would be on my fucking knees in these tiny little boxes that hold the fucking cables for the bridge, just with an oxyacetylene torch, heating that shit up to 500 fucking degrees, pointing a laser at it, making sure it was 500 degrees, then welding on it. This place was so uptight that their tolerance was a 1/16 of an inch. For any of you who work construction jobs, carpentry, fucking electric, whatever, you know, even the electric people got to drill holes through walls and shit. For any one of you to have a 1/16 of a tolerance, a 1/16 of an inch for tolerance, you know how astronomically absurd that is to ask of somebody. That is beyond fucking unbelievable. So anyway, now we'll get down to the tape measures. The tape measures had to be certified by QC, quality control. Those were the yellow hats. They had to be certified by quality control, and they would stretch the whole tape out, and say you had a 30-foot Stanley tape. Well, they would measure it to where at 25 inches, you had to give or take 1/8 of an inch, because it's all rolled up in a fucking tape measure. So by the time you get to the 25-foot mark, there's a give or take 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch or whatever. They had to write that in, they had to basically burn it into the bottom of your tape measure and then burn their fucking name in it. So if the tape was fucked up, it was QC's fault. And they got fired for that shit. If you so much as fucking brought in your own tape measure, say fucking, I don't know, Milwaukee came out with a new magnetic 40-foot tape measure and you wanted to show everybody, if you used it or got caught using it, they would stop you from what you were doing, send you home, have 8 fucking QC guys come over, check everything that you welded, everything that you cut, and if any of it's fucked up, you're fired. That's how fucking tight these guys were. And I get it, because we're building bridges and people's lives depend on this shit. I get it. But, dude, I mean, this job was like, when I took this job, it wasn't like working at McDonald's. It wasn't like working at Burger King or, you know, any of the normal teenager jobs. It wasn't anything like that. Okay. So, okay. I would run through, it was so, it's consistently 100 degrees where I was at. And the humidity was constantly 110%. It would rain for 10 minutes and then just be boiling hot the rest of the day. All of the leather combined that you had to wear was about, I want to say, 30 to 40 pounds worth of leather. Your leather apron, leather jacket, leather gloves, leather shoe covers, all kinds of shit. All the fucking PPE you had to wear, because you couldn't just wear a welding mask. You had to wear a fucking hard hat with a attachment that allows you to attach a welding mask. It sucked. That job blew ass. At the time, okay, as far as tolerances, I don't want to leave that subject yet because this is fucked up. Otis was a retired Marine Corps drill sergeant. He had so many DUIs that they took his license away for life. He's not allowed to ever drive again. A judge told him that. He drove a Harley Davidson to and from work every fucking day. Never got fucked with, never got pulled over. As long as you act like you know what you're doing on a bike, they're not going to fuck with you. On a cruiser bike. If you're on a crotch rocket, every now and again they'll pull you over just to fuck with you. Because they know you can go faster with them than them, and that pisses them off. And most people who have crotch rockets are pretty young, so they expect them to do something stupid. So anyway, Johnny was Bay 2 supervisor. I'll tell you a fucked up story about him real quick. As a welder, you couldn't really smoke because you could on breaks, but if you had a cigarette in your mouth and you went to throw your hood down, it would knock that cigarette out of your mouth. So 98% of the people who welded who were involved in tobacco in any way, shape, or form dipped or did chaw, like me. I did chaw. So one day, I come into work and I realized I forgot to stop by the fucking gas station and get myself some dip or something. And Red Man Original, that was my thing. Actually, the green label was mine. But, so, fucking, I go up to Johnny and I'm like, hey Johnny, I will give you $10 if you let me dip out of here. He had this big ass fucking can of like Stoker's or Longhorn or some shit, some off brand nobody fucking heard of. I said, Johnny, I'll give you $10 if you let me dip out of your cup all day. He's like, well, how much do you normally dip? And I'm like, dude, honestly, I'd need about 4 pinches throughout the day. One right now, one an hour before break, one an hour after break, and one right before I go home. And he's like, okay, that's fine. Fair deal. So I take this big old fat fucking pinch, right? Massive fucking pinch. Put it in my front lip. Get it all spread out. I turn around and there's this dude who's just looking at me like, and I'm like, hey man, what's up? And he's like, dude, that's disgusting. I was like, you got something against people who dip, huh? Because you're surrounded by them. And he's like, no. And he walks over to me. He's like, Johnny redips. And I was like, what's redip? And he's like, that's when you find yourself in a situation to where you can't be dipping anymore. So you take your pinch out and put it back in the can. I almost puked. For hours, I was queasy. I spit it all out, and I could not look Johnny in the face for 7 fucking days. I did not so much as look at him one fucking time, dude. That shit had me gross the fuck out. So there's a little side story with Johnny. Ken, okay, so the 2 people, actually Rodney almost got fired. The 2 people that I'm going to tell you about, this is still relating to the tolerances, is Johnny and Ken. Johnny's Bay 2, Ken is Bay 3. Each bay has a different, does something different to the bridge as it's being built. So, Bay 5 is like painting or some stupid shit. I don't know. They're all a bunch of shitheads. Seriously, that was like the shittiest bay to be in. So anyway, okay, so as a supervisor, in order to become a supervisor, after about 3 years of being there, they'll come up and they'll be like, hey man, unless you progress like I did, they'll be like, hey man, there's a couple opportunities here. Your boss will sit you down. He'll be like, hey, there's a couple opportunities here. 1, you can be a welder and go on to fabrication and go on to be a tier 3 welder. Or 2, you can get involved in QC, which is quality control, and after you're successful with them for 2 years, you can become a supervisor. And this opportunity is for everybody. Whites, blacks, Mexicans, can't speak Spanish Mexicans, Cubans, men, women, anybody. This opportunity is open for anybody if you go to QC. I was told by every welder I ever talked to that was tier 3, do not become a supervisor. And I didn't understand until this shit happened. Now, being a supervisor at McDonald's is way fucking different than what I'm talking about here. If somebody fucks up, it's your fault. If an employee gets hurt, it's your fault. If a machine explodes because nobody oiled it, it's your fault. So they have to overlook every operation before it happens. And they're like, that amount of stress is not worth what they're being paid. In fact, they told me those guys are only making $80,000 a year to be here. 80 grand, that's it. And he's like, you know what I make as a tier 3 welder? I've been here for 18 years, the dude that I was talking to. And I was like, what? It's like, I make $120,000 a year. I was like, bullshit. And no shit, he pulled out a fucking pay stub and showed me it was not bullshit. So I became a welder. So anyway, alright, I hit the bottom of that on purpose because it was like this. It doesn't open up all the way. It's the one thing that sucks. But for being pin constructed, I'm surprised it's held on as long as it has. I think I paid like $70 for this or something. Maybe it was like 100. Can't remember. But did it again. So during this time, I move in. I'm making great money. Actually, what happened was I was a tier 2 welder. I was a fabricator. I was working for people who couldn't even speak English, and I was handing them blueprints, praying to God they knew how to fucking do it. And if they didn't, I had to, it was like a big fucking deal being tier 2. They really put a lot of pressure on you when you're on tier 2, because they want to make sure that if you want to become tier 3, they're not just going to get a piece of shit that, just wanted to stick it out until they got there and da-da-da-da. So they really put a lot of fucking pressure on you. You have to work with tier 1 welders, tier 3 welders. You have to work with the general laborers. You have to tell them, I need a bevel ground at 45 degrees, 20 foot long on this slab of steel. And then you have to go back and make sure they fucking did it correctly, because when the welder gets that, if it's 35 degrees and QC says there's not enough penetration in this weld, they have to redo fucking everything because of you. So anyway, all right. So, my supervisor, Otis, you know, my third day there, my arms were hurting. I had a big 8-inch fucking grinder, which is those massive, I had a massive fucking DeWalt grinder, not one of those little 5-inch ones that you can hold with one hand. And I was sitting there holding the underbelly of the grinder instead of the handle, squeezing the trigger, right? Just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. He walked up behind me and went, BAM! Knocked my fucking helmet right off my head. And he was like, if you're not gonna fucking grind right, you're not gonna grind at all. You wanna get the fuck out of here or not? And I was like, dude, I'm sorry, what did I do wrong? He was like, you put your left hand on the fucking handle and you put your middle finger on the goddamn trigger. I mean, that's how fucking intense this dude was. And I didn't know why. I didn't know why he had such a fucking problem with the way that I was doing things until a welder explained to me the amount of fucking stress that these people go under. Which is, I can't handle shit like that. I can't. I can't deal with people like that either, but it's funny to watch him yell at somebody else. It's shitty when he's yelling at you. It blows. Let me take a drink. Oh, yes. Shut the fuck up. Okay. So anyway, I was talking to my sink. So, the day Ken got fired, I'll tell you what happened. He'd been there for 15 years. 15 fucking years. So, when a part of a bridge, an I-beam or anything, has to be picked up by 2 cranes or more, well, it depends. There could be one crane that loads it onto either the train or brings it out to the yard for storage until it can be matched up with the next piece to make sure that it fits. There's a couple of different things. But so these fucking massive, like, I want to say, God, probably 8-inch thick harnesses have to go underneath and around both sides of an I-beam that weighs about 50,000 pounds. Well, when you get 4 or 5 of those welded together, it's a big ordeal. So he has to go around and inspect every single strap and inspect the fucking cable from the crane, all the shackles, the fucking hook on the crane. Everything has to be thoroughly inspected by the supervisor, because if anything fucking happens, it's the supervisor's fault for not doing his job. 15 fucking years this dude's been here, right? So they get ready to move this piece onto a train, and it weighs like 390,000 pounds or something like that. Something ridiculous. So there's 4 cranes per bay. Each one is capable of holding different amounts. He finally gets 2 200,000 pound cranes centered. Lowers the hoist, hooks everything up, and he's walking around checking it. You can tell he's had a stressful day. Shit happens. Well, we had to grab. This is the story that I heard. We didn't have enough what do you call them things? Not cables, harnesses. We did not have enough of those inside that another bay had borrowed from them So they had to take the outside ones, which were in all sorts of different types of weather. You know, they hardly ever got used ever for anything because they mainly use chains out there. So anyway, they go out there, they get a couple of straps that they needed, and it took about 6 of them to drag one of these straps back. That's how fucking heavy these things are. Obnoxious. So, maybe 4 of them. Still, I did that thing again. But, so anyway, he gets ready. Everybody's standing back. It's a big ordeal when you move something that fucking heavy. And he hits the up button. It raises up, raises up, raises up, raises up. And about 20 feet into the air, you just see this fucking cloud of dust just right off the fucking harness, right? And the whole fucking end. Like, there's 2 straps. This end just like the Titanic, man. Bam! Dude, when that happened, there was no grinding. There was no oxyacetylene torches going off. Everybody was dead fucking quiet. Everybody. And all of a sudden, you hear this door slam from the office. This guy comes out in a suit. Walks all the way over to Bay 2. We're all just standing there. Like, even Otis is just standing there. Like, his face is just like... And he walks up to Johnny and he says, instead of him saying something like, you know, hey, you know, everybody makes a mistake or whatever, he said, get your shit out of the job box. You're gone. Get the fuck out of here. And, well, actually, the way he said it was, I'm paying you to supervise, and if you're not going to fucking do your job, then what the fuck do I need you for? And before Ken could even speak, he said, get your shit out of the fucking job box and get the fuck out. 15 years of dedication to this company, and just like that. But the load was so fucking heavy that not only did it crack through the concrete, it cracked the foundation for the entire fucking plant. Huge. One small little fuck up could turn out to be something catastrophic. Johnny had a similar situation that happened to him, but it wasn't as bad as far as damage, and he had been there for like 25 years. So they let him keep his job, but they moved him out of the plant and to another plant. A totally different thing. So anyway, I was thankful as fuck that I did not become a supervisor, because in order to become one, and they make it sound so easy. All you have to do is go to QC for 2 years, and if you make it, you're a supervisor. They make it sound so easy, and you do make more money as a welder. Plus, once you're a tier 3 welder, that is the golden ticket. You've got fucking a welder's helper. He's like a golf caddy. He carries around all your shit for you. You know, hey, it's so much nicer. But you're still doing like difficult shit all the time. But you've got a helper. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, that's cool fucking shit. So anyway, during this process, during all of this that was going on at Tampa Tank, now you can see why I would leave a $96,000 a year job. It is excessively fucking stressful. I mean, you have people on your ass all the fucking time, and if you do not have a silver tape measure on the side of your fucking belt, they will watch you like a hawk all day. Because the first time you pull it out and make a tape measurement, QC's on your ass, or your supervisor. And if they find you using one, you're gone. That hasn't been through QC. And if it's a special tape that has been through QC, QC knows. They know whether or not they signed that specific tape. Even though it looked just like the rest of the Milwaukees or the rest of the Cobalts, they know that specific fucking tape measure just by looking at it. They're like fucking vultures. But anyway, I saw it happen to a few people, man. You go home, you lose your fucking silver tape. Something you let a buddy borrow it, or your son had a school project and he borrowed it and forgot to put it back in your tool bag. Shit happens. But I mean, dude, it's that fucking tight there. Extremely stressful. So, those of you who would compare your, fucking, it's interesting because you see people in like the restaurant industries, and I'm not just picking on them. I mean, there's other shit, but they want to be a manager. They want to become more, and it's like the direction that they're heading, I would never go to, because if I was not instead of being a manager of a place, I'm gonna fucking own the place. You know what I mean? Like, fuck that. I'll make my own goddamn decisions, and I don't give a fuck. If you fuck up, you're fired. Right? So anyway, it did it again, dude. It fucking did it again. It's bullshit. So anyway, fucking. Okay, so I was with this chick. Why I don't live in Florida. One is because if you have any intentions of ever working, construction or any outside job, you might as well go ahead and blow your head off. It is way too fucking hot. It's obnoxious. The pay sucks. Until you fucking get up to the top, it's do or die, man. I mean, and it's fucking die every day. But, Asia. Actually, I might make you know what? This video's gone on for like 30 minutes. So tomorrow, I'll upload part 2. Because this is going to already take like 5 hours to upload to YouTube. But I'll make a part 2 to this and let you know the felonious side of my life and what happened that I had to leave Florida. But, alright guys. We'll see you next time. Alright guys. Peace.